be asking our very own, Dennis Itahi, what are the key steps that lead to a clearer goal-based saving plan? What are the key steps that lead to a clearer goal-based saving plan? Welcome, Dennis.
Thank you, Wallace. Thank you, Wallace, and I also appreciate the introduction that you made about myself. Oh yes, I like skipping the rope, and that's my daily routine. Every day, that's what will always give me some good sleep after I'm done with the job. I'll skip a rope, at least I'm sure I'll sleep tight and much comfortable position. So thank you. So I'll go to the question. First of all, I have three ways to answer that, and with that, I will answer the what, the when, and the how. So let's start with the what. Firstly, when you want to save, identify a goal and a distinct financial objective that you want to have. Maybe you want to save to buy a car, maybe you want to save to buy a land, maybe you want to save to go hike, to join Massive to hike at Mount Kilimanjaro. So if you have that already, it gives you a sense of direction and you know what you really are saving for and how you can be able now to achieve it. Now we go for the when. So for the when, this is usually based on the time frame. For how long do you want to save to ensure that at the end of the goal, you're able to achieve what you had, the intended purpose that you already had in mind. So time frame is usually very important in your savings and it gives the direction a purpose because now you have a time limit, by this time you should have this amount of money. So you're able to ensure that you get there. Then the last will be the how. So with the how, I will come down with how you can be able to approach it. At Jubilee Asset Management, we have a wide network of dedicated financial advisors who are well educated, well trained, and who will walk with you the journey and help you in terms of coming up with saving plans, and they'll be able to identify products that are suitable for your financial goal and offer a solution through which you can be able to follow through and actually achieve your financial goal. So kindly remember the three, the what, the when, and the how to guide you in terms of your financial goal. Thank you, Wallace. Over to you.
Thank you, Dennis. Really appreciated. So basically what Dennis did, he answered three questions: the what, the when, and the how. The what is identifying what your clear, distinctive financial objective is. What do you want? Do you really want that car? Do you really want that phone? Do you really want those shoes? Then next you answer the when. When will you be able to achieve it? When will you be able to afford it? If I start saving today 5,000 Kenyan shillings, after 12 months, will I be able to afford it? After 6 months, will I be able to buy it? And lastly, the how. Now, people get the first two correct, okay? You're able to understand what is my goal. My goal is to achieve X, to buy that nice shoe. How will I be able to, when will I be able to buy it? If I save 5,000 every month, I'll be able to buy it after 6 months. Good. But people normally fail on the how. How am I going to achieve it? What you'll notice is most times than not, when you start a savings process, it starts off all rosy. You create castles in your mind because what you're looking to achieve, you can taste it to a very large extent. Yes, you can. But when it gets to actually achieving it or bringing it into fruition, that is where we get lost in the mark. And there is a saying I like hearing, and that's what I've talked about building castles. A plan without action is a daydream. And action without a plan is a nightmare. A plan without action is a daydream, and action without a plan is a nightmare. What we are focusing on today is the plan. Do you have a plan? You know how you'll get there? Maybe. But have you structured as to how you get there? Have you put in the disciplines to ensure you achieve this? Thank you, Dennis. The next question is still for you, Dennis. What common mistakes do people make when saving for a goal, and how can they avoid them? Just to repeat for those who haven't heard, what common mistakes do people make when saving for a goal, and how can they avoid them?
Okay, thank you, Alice. So with that question, I will answer it in a simplified way. So first of all, I will start with saving without a strategy. Saving without strategy is like running without a direction. So you'll just run anywhere, and it doesn't matter the speed, but the direction. As long as you don't have the right direction, even if the speed is high, even if the speed is low, you still go to the wrong direction. So first of all is having a strategy. Have a strategy of how you like to save. How do you want it to be done? Do you want to be contributing? Do you want to be saving after you've already spent, or do you want to first save then spend, or do you want by the time you get your paycheck at the end of the month, do you want it to have like a direct deduction or a direct debit to a money market fund, a fixed income fund, so that it saves you the trouble or the headache of having to make the calculations. How much am I going to save? How much am I going to spend? So strategy is very important when you are trying to implement a saving goal. Another objective will be many people use the wrong investment vehicles when they want to invest. For example, maybe you want to save for the next 6 months. You anticipate that maybe by the next 6 months you're going to get a newborn. By the next 6 months, you want to start off your college graduate degree. But then again, you have the funds, but you want to set them away for some time until that time when you're going to need the funds, then you can have them and actually set off or pay off the financial obligations that you have. But if you choose set on the wrong investment vehicle, by the time 6 months are over, you won't be able to get the cash. Why? Because you locked the funds in a long-term investment. Case in point. Maybe you are just looking at the rate, looking at the you look at the T-bills, there's the 91 day, 182, and the 364. But in your mind, you say, with 364, I'll get higher returns. So I will lock my money in the 364-day T-bill. But in essence, your need requires you to put your money away for only 6 months. So come in June, you want your money, but you can't really access it. Why? Because you locked it in the long investment vehicle, the one that doesn't match your financial goal. That's why I emphasize the need for you to tap into our network of dedicated financial advisors to actually help you in planning and also advice on the right solution that you need for your financial goal. Another one will be digging into your savings before you reach or attain your financial goal. You're saving for a big thing, you're saving for a big project, but now something along the way happens and you don't have any near cash. So the near cash is what you've already saved. You already start tapping or digging into it, thereby distracting you and having an interruption to the saving goal that you had already identified. So that's another key trap that you should always avoid. And another one is not tracking your savings. What is not measured is not achievable. So you really need to track your savings. Say 10% are done, 20% done, 30% done. That way, it gives you clear sense of direction and urgency to enable you to understand what position are you in, where am I going, where am I at, and what is the length that I need to cover for me to actually achieve financial goal. So having employed the strategies that I've identified here, it gives you purpose, it gives you direction, and also it enables you not to tap into your savings and discipline you, and also ensure that you're able to plan for both long term and short term. Thank you, Alice.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Dennis. Fantastic feedback. I'll start off actually in response to that with a tip we have on the chat box from Jen Kamau. How to avoid mistakes is to one, having a comprehensive budget. That is making record of your fixed expenses, debt repayment, savings, donations, etc. Gives one clarity and puts things on the ground. Again, by having a budget, what are you having? A plan. All we're speaking to is ensuring we're having a plan. But as Dennis has mentioned, some of the mistakes we have is that we do not stick to the plan. Somewhere along the way, we get a bit of confusion. Somewhere along the way, we get enticed by one thing or another. We're not saying emergencies don't happen. Yes, of course they do. It's a part of life, especially in today's world, with everything happening at a supersonic speed. It is expected. But there are also ways of how you can avoid those emergency situations whereby they eat into your savings plan. There was a guy called Henry Ford. For those who know who Henry Ford is, Henry Ford is one of the few people who revolutionized the 20th century. And he was one of the people who inspired the growth of the automobile industry, specifically within the United States, and now it is worldwide. So he said this: failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. Now, I know some of you have failed severally. You've tried to save, it's not worked out. Try to save, it's not worked out. Right now, we're in January, we still have the zeal of the year. But by June, things can be different. This is just to say it is okay. Sometimes it fails, but it is the point of uh, keeping up, or rather, when you continue trying, is what would help. Every time you fall down, you get up. But then there's also somebody else called Eleanor Roosevelt, who said, learn from the mistakes of others. You can't live long enough to make them all yourself. So it is okay. We've said it is okay to make mistakes, but we have given you tips as to how to avoid those mistakes. The saying is, experience is the best teacher. No, I'd like to say it differently. Other people's experiences is the best teacher. Learn from those who've come before you. Learn from those who've set precedents before you, and you will do fantastically well in your savings journey and eventually financial freedom. I love that word, financial freedom. All right, next question to our head of business development, Masim Mwelu. How would you recommend to somebody who is just starting off to setting financial goals? So if I'm somebody who's new, say I'm a youngin, I'm 18 years old, 16 years old, 20 years old, and I want to start saving, what advice would you give me in order to unlock my financial freedom?
Thank you, Wallace. Let me start by giving out statistic which was carried out by Knight Frank according to their wealth report, which for last year, 2024. It says Knight Frank is a very well respected wealth, they churn out very good, reports. So it says that there are 7,200 ultra high net worth individuals in Kenya. Okay, let me explain to you, Wallace, what ultra high net worth is. This is a person who has $1 million US in assets under management. Roughly give it about, in exchange rate, about 130 million Kenya shillings. And there are only about 7,200 in Kenya. Digging deeper, the report also says there are around 437,000 declared, formally declared. This will say, I earn above 100,000. And we do know that Kenya is one of the declared wealth country in Africa. So with that, what does it mean to someone who is new to setting? I mean, this is the reports which is out there in the public, and someone is new and says, what do you want? How can you help me at Jubilee Asset Management? So at Jubilee Asset Management, one, we walk the journey with you from the time, and they do say that wealth accumulation starts the first time you start saving. It doesn't matter whether you're saving 10,000, whether you're saving 1,000, that's wealth accumulation. That's when you're starting to build your wealth. So at Jubilee Asset Management, we create value propositions that tie to the person who is coming in, who is very new, the 18-year-old who just live in campus and it's on their internship job and around, an X amount of money, to even the ultra high net worth, who says my financial goal, actually, I've, in as much as I'm ultra high net worth, but I've not really reached my financial goal, which is, to pass on generation wealth to the other person. So ideally for a person who is very new, one, you need to start by highlighting what is important to you and what is urgent to you. In this case, you need to classify and cluster your needs, your wants, and your wishes. a need at that particular time. You could be, you want to get your first home, you want, career progression. By career progression, you want to do a professional course. You've just come out of uni, you're an accountant, you want to do ISIFA, or you want to do CRM, you're a marketer. That could be your goal. You want to do a professional course. And in that age, I believe you're in your 20s. You want to start your family in that age. And, family comes in, you're having your first baby, and you're expecting the baby to go to school. And you need to start saving for school fees. Or else the social image, Wallace, nowadays is very important. How do I look? Am I seen to be making it? How you project yourself. There's a new trend among, the younger population. Am I seen to be making it? Do I have a social capital around me? Am I having my chama buddies around me? Are we discussing about, putting money in a money market fund? Gone are the days when people used to go and buy clothes. I think we've had enough of the title deeds. So, you start by coming to us. We sit down with you. We want to walk the journey with you at Jubilee Asset Management. And as Dennis said, we have a team of dedicated financial advisors who are ready to help you create solutions which are fit for purpose. And with that, we want, to come. If you're starting in from the 5,000, which is the minimum for money market, we want to grow you. By the time that you're done in the next 6 months, we want you to be in the statistics of the 437 who are formally declared earning 100,000. Before you know it, the person is earning 100,000. We want to help them grow into the high net worth individuals. And before you know it, the high net worth individuals, we want to help them to grow to the ultra high net worth individuals. So we encourage you to come to us. We have value propositions which align to the purpose and to the goal that you're seeking to achieve in your savings objective.
Thank you, Mercy. Thank you, Mercy. Keep the questions coming in, getting some very interesting questions in the group and feedback. Geoffrey Njuguna, well noted. The same will be handled at the end of the session. So keep the questions flowing in. So thank you, Mercy. I think what she spoke to is, at the end of the day, we are speaking about having a plan. We're speaking about having a purpose. At the end of the day, even as you're a starter, 18 years old, 16 years old, 17 years old, as long as you don't have a plan, you don't have a purpose, yeah, you can be saving, but what are you saving towards? Are you saving so that you can grow money? Yeah, that could be your plan. That could be your purpose. You could be saving just to become rich. At the end of the day, everything we're speaking about in today's session, in today's webinar, speaks about having a target, having a goal. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Dream big, start small, but act now. You want to start saving? You're young. You want to know how you're going to be able to save? Start now. Grow up your plan. Look at your expenses. For example, if you're earning 30,000 Kenya shillings, you know you're having rent. And that is, I'm talking about net. You know you're having rent. There are certain priorities, you need to give in your life. You can't be earning 30,000 Kenya shillings and living in a house where you're paying rent worth 20,000 Kenya shillings. First and foremost, where are you going to earn? Where are you going to get the food from? Where are you going to be able to buy your new clothes from? And especially in today's economy, not only in Kenya, not only in Uganda, not only in Africa, but across the world, things are expensive. Inflation is over the roof. You have to be realistic. So even in terms of the decisions you make on a day-to-day basis, even in terms of the choices you make, some of us love hanging out, especially the youngins, on Fridays. Even the older generation might want to go out over the weekends. But will I be able to unlock whatever target I've set for myself? If I'm saving 5,000 now and I go out every Friday, where I'm saving 2,000, where I'm spending 2,000 on the Friday, or spending 5,000, why can't you cut off 2 weekends and say, I'll stay in the house these 2 weekends? You'll have saved 10,000 just by staying in the house for those 2 weekends on a monthly basis. So at the end of the day, we may tell you how to do it. We may tell you how to go about it. We may give you options, but it also relies a lot on the choices you make. We may give you a plan. We may tell you what you need to do to avoid X, Y, Z. But will you make the right choice when push comes to shove? Thank you, Mercy. All right. So next question of our top 7 commonly asked questions. How do you recommend to adjusting savings goals when unexpected life events happen, like job loss or medical emergencies? Over to you, Mercy.
Okay. Thank you, Wallace. Life in itself is very dynamic. Thank you, Wallace. Life in itself is very dynamic. And, today, Wallace, you could be sitting in this pretty office in Upper Hill for Jubilee, and we don't know whether you get home safely or what. So life in itself is very dynamic. Let's get it clear. So my advice would be build an emergency fund. How does an emergency fund work? I mean, it's a word which has been thrown, here and there, but a clear understanding of an emergency fund is putting some funds or money aside, which will cover for a loss, either of a job or you need for emergency, assuming that you didn't have, enough medical cover to cover for your medical bills, or you lose a loved one. I mean, or just something happens, you get a VER, voluntary early retirement, and by the time that you clear, we all know it takes time for your funds to be remitted when you're going through a VER. So ideally, the expert advice is you need to have about 3 to 6 months of amount which you're able to cater for your monthly expenses. And how do you build that? I mean, you need to start small, and I'm speaking this to someone who is completely new to savings. You could put aside, assuming you're earning 20,000 and your monthly expenses are around 10,000, you need to put aside a fraction of the 10,000 every month. I'm not telling you to put the entire 10,000 because I mean, you do have other things which are competing. You need to give your church your tithe. You need many other things. You need some of us, you need to send money back home. So ideally, you need to put a fraction of your monthly expense. And this goes towards an emergency fund. And this is a fund whereby you're able to top it up. You get your chama contribution. You didn't have a plan for it. Put it up in an emergency fund. Someone to tell you, oh, can I buy you lunch, and sends you money on M-Pesa. You didn't have to go for that money in M-Pesa and buy that lunch. Put it in an emergency fund. And nowadays, the money markets are very easily accessible. You can do easily top up. You can do, through your M-Pesa, top it up to your emergency fund. So ideally, put the money aside for unexpected live event, because we do advise that sometimes those live events comes and you go dig into your savings and you do not want to access your retirement benefits before you get to your retirement age, because again, it comes with a tax burden. So ideally, put aside money every month, a fraction of what your ideally monthly expense would be, and put it aside. And I would propose put it in a money market fund. You can periodically have it, access it as and when the emergency happens. So we are happy to have you and create, have the discussions with you and show you how you can create one and how you can, do the monthly top ups to create one emergency fund for you and your family.
Okay, thank you, Mercy. Thank you, Mercy. Keep the questions coming in. Some of the questions will be handled by our portfolio manager, Caleb Mugendi, who's also part of the chat. He would respond to each of your questions on the chat line. The questions are very, very interesting. Like, for example, Mercy, maybe let me ask you this one. Where do you put the emergency fund so that you are not tempted to use it? Where do you put the emergency fund so that you are not tempted to use it?
There's a saying where I come from, which says money is not supposed to be cooked. So you're able to access it. But in this case, for an emergency fund, I think you need to cook that money and put it in a place whereby before you remove it from the fridge or from the pantry, there are ways that you have a bit of interest before you access that money. And in this case, put it in a place whereby you're not able to access it. Sometimes it's very tempting. We live in an e-commerce world. You're seeing something on Facebook, something on Instagram, and you remember, what? I have an emergency fund somewhere and I have an emergency fund in my phone. I can access it. So that's not an emergency fund because you'll be tempted to, to use it. So put it ideally in a place whereby it's a bit of a discomfort for you accessing that emergency fund. But then again, it should not take you more than 3 days to access that emergency fund because when they happen, they don't need a week. Emergencies are emergencies.
Thank you. Thank you, Mercy. Again, all she spoke about in handling such a situation was you need to have a plan, make a list of things. How much do you need to save? Pick a place to park your emergency fund, set up regular automated contributions towards that fund, and channel any extra income into your fund. So I'll give you an example of two situations that happened to me. They might be small to some of you, might be big to some of you, but to me, they were quite hefty back then. So I had a friend of mine. We've been friends for over 15 years. We grew up together and we more or less started work around the same time. So what happened was 3 years into us beginning our work life, my friend lost his job. And I remember approaching him during that time. I'm all sad, woeful, because he's like a brother to me. And I was like, okay, how are we going to sort this out? I'm going to support you during this period of time. And this friend of mine just told me straight up that he is okay. He will be able to manage. We actually met up at a restaurant. He actually handled the bill. So I asked him, okay, my guy, what really happened? How were you able to unlock? How are you able to be so comfortable, to be so at peace? I actually thought maybe he's going through some. At that moment in time, I actually thought there might be a problem, might need some psychological help. But he just told me he started saving from day one when we started work. While I was playing around, having the time of my life, when you're young and you get a bit of money and you're a bit liquid, you tend to spend as it comes and live paycheck to paycheck. But he told me he didn't. He put some small funds somewhere, and he knew those funds would be able to sustain him despite losing his job. Can you imagine? It took him a year before he got another job. But within that year, he was able to sustain his rental payments. He was able to sustain his home because he had somebody that he was staying with. He was able to sustain his meals, attend a few functions here and there. And even after that 1 year, he was still able to remain with cash despite getting a new job. So that really inspired me. And since then, you can imagine I have never looked back. Wasn't easy at first, I have to say. Extremely hard for me, but we're here now. The second situation was I had animals in my house. The younger generation, we like having cats and dogs within our house. So I had actually both a cat and a dog. And for a long time, I was actually looking at taking up a domestic insurance package. And I was like, I need to save towards at least remitting a few coins towards taking up that insurance package. But every month it came and I was like, I'll do it next month. I'll do it next month. So one day I came to the house. I found my TV, which was on the TV set, had fallen down from the TV set onto the floor. That time we hadn't really mounted the screen. So when I found it onto the floor, I knew definitely it had to be either the cat or the dog. Of course, one of them had to go after that situation, definitely was the cat. But had I decided to save towards taking up this package, I wouldn't have paid over 30,000 Kenya shillings towards repairing that screen. So at the end of the day, emergency fund, it can be anything. We, of course, recommend you to save within the money market fund. Reason being is it's easily accessible. And reason why we say it's easy, the MMF or the money market fund is because at the end of the day, an emergency is a situation that you want to deal with it in the moment. So yes, we can recommend putting a fixed savings plan for 6 months, a year, 2 years, depending. But will you be able to access those funds without incurring any penalties when an emergency occurs? No. So MMF is the best solution. And at the end of the day, for you to be able to unlock your financial freedom, as I said earlier, it all depends with you as an individual. The choices that you make. I've put money there. Do not touch it. I've put money in the Jubilee Money Market Fund. Do not touch it. It's earning great interest. As you can see from our performance last year, we performed very well throughout the year. But yes, it's earning great interest. Any shilling that you take out from it, especially if it is not an emergency, will reduce the investment income, or rather the interest that you'll be able to earn from it. So again, I ask you, will you make the right choice? Not only for yourself, but for your future generations. All right. The next question will be addressed to Dennis Gitai. So there's been an emerging need to invest in the money market fund. So how does this money market fund? I know I've been speaking about the Jubilee Money Market Fund, how it has performed well in 2024. So how does the money market fund work? And how does one know which money market fund is best for him or her? In this case, why should we pick the Jubilee Money Market Fund?
Super. Thank you, Alice. Actually, I was really looking forward to that question because I think I have a solution to that and I can answer it in a very good and a practical way through which clients can actually prefer Jubilee set managers products. So first of all, money market funds have been there for the longest period of time. They have always been around. So it only matters how audible and how visible they have been in the market. And so when you're looking for a money market fund, I would like you to understand some of the things that involve, or the features that involve around money markets. First of all, money markets are low risk. What do I mean by low risk? Since money market funds, they are invested, this is a collective investment scheme. So we pull funds from this investor, from this other investor, we put it in one basket and we invest in various financial security assets, which have very low risks. One of them is the treasury bills. We have the treasury bonds, we have the fixed and call deposits, and also we have the commercial papers. And all these ensure that the performance of these financial assets is what we give it as a return to our clients and anyone else that are investing in our money market fund. Another thing will be liquidity. Money market fund is very liquid. This is to say that if, let's say you're running a business, or let's say it's a saving from your retirement, it's a saving from anything that you want, maybe from farming that you have a lump sum and you want to put this money out for some time, you can actually get your money back anytime. Put your money today, 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, you have an emergency for the money, you want to run some errands, you want to finance something, you can always get your money back. As simple as that, by just writing an email to us, then we'll call back to the clients to confirm the details and the money will be deposited to their bank account. So that's how liquid money market it is. You can actually access your money anytime you may have a need for the money. Another thing is the preservation of capital. By preservation of capital, anytime there is inflation, we ensure that our returns are higher than inflation. So whatever we give you, these are the real returns are usually to ensure that your money is safe from erosion by inflation. So when inflation currently is around 3%, our returns are beyond 10%. This is to ensure that the real return is actually 10%. So we've saved the capital from erosion by inflation. Okay, then accessibility. Money market funds typically have a low investment requirements, like Jubilee Asset Managers Management. For our money market fund, the minimum is actually 5,000. Imagine just 5,000. Putting out 5,000, that's what you start off with, but you don't have a maximum. And then again, we allow top-ups. So with top-ups, this means anytime you have cash around and you like to save this money, you can always add it to your investment, and this goes directly to your principal, ensuring that your returns keep on increasing and ensuring that your capital actually keeps on growing based on the saving and also the financial goal that you've already established. You always keep away a certain amount of money. Whenever maybe you have traded and profits, you can put the money there. Then when it accumulates to a certain amount of money, maybe you want to boost your biashara, you want to boost your business, you can always take out a lump sum and finance your business. If let's say it's a school, let's use examples of schools. When schools are opening, they usually have a large amount of money due when fees are paid. But the school won't use all this money at once. It will be drawing month on month based on their expenses. So the school can actually invest in Jubilee Money Market Fund, keep the money here, month on month, they will continue earning interest, and they can be withdrawing the money as and when the expenses come up. So any utility bills they have, they can always draw from the money market fund to finance their utility bills. And who knows, if they have accumulated money for the long run, let's say 2 years, they will look down and say, hey, we need a bus. Hey, we need construction of new classrooms. But they will look at the money market fund and say, wow, we've actually saved some money to Jubilee. We can get some of it and finance our capital expenditure. And that's how practical and accessible money markets can be to an institution, same to individuals. Another factor would be Jubilee Asset Management has two types of money market fund. One is Kenya shilling denominated fund, and the other one is US dollar denominated fund. You're a manufacturer, you are an importer, you are an exporter. You're dealing with dollars. You don't have to store your money with your bank earning you no interest. Come keep it in Jubilee Asset Management. And whenever you need your money, let's say your consignment is coming in 2 months' time. Within those 2 months, you'll have earned some interest. And the interest, you can actually use it to offset some of the bills that are needed so that you can clear your cargo for you to be able now to stock your shop. So these are some of the practical ways in which you can be able to use your money market fund, and it is not cast on stone. It is very flexible to switch to your needs. We also have a way that you can be able, you can store your money away. Let's say you want to invest in purely in bonds. We have a Jubilee fixed income fund. So for the fixed income fund, much of the exposure is with the government securities, and this ensures there is more safety. It is less risky, and actually, whenever you need the money, 6 months down the line, you can actually access your money, and this will ensure that your investment has grown, and also to ensure that you're able to meet your financial goal. Another thing will be, let's say you're retired, you've been paid out your pension. Some of it has gone to purchase an annuity, some of it you've been given as a lump sum. Instead of using the whole lump sum, as much as the annuities will be paid out to you month on month, you can actually keep the money there with a Jubilee money market fund, and then you can say, hey, I don't want to reinvest my interest. Can you actually be giving me partial payouts every month? We will do that. Any interest that has accrued for that month, we pay out to you. So you can actually use it as a salary, even as you enjoying it with the annuities that you are enjoying from other service providers. So money market fund is actually works for everybody, depending with whatever saving goal we have, with whatever financial goal that you have. Money market will always work out for you. That's why I will insist again, we have a wide network of dedicated financial advisors in Nairobi. We are coming down to Mombasa in Central. We have already identified areas that we can actually have our dedicated financial advisors, and this will ensure that we are in touch with you, we are in touch with your needs, we understand you, and we want to walk with you the journey of finance. Thank you, Alice.
Thank you, Dennis. Fantastic, fantastic. Actually, you've responded to some of the questions we had in the chat box. Keep the questions coming. We'll have a few people in the chat responding to some of them, and also our panel members will respond to some of them at the end of the session. Again, just want to reiterate, the best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. That was said by a very wealthy man, Warren Buffett. Or is it Buffett? Depends with where your English comes from. But he said the best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. So again, are you going to look after your finances? Or are you going to be like that guy who a few years back, you remember when we were changing the currency from the older one to the new one? There was a gentleman. There's a gentleman who actually had a few, not actually, it wasn't a few, I think it was about 200,000 or 2 million worth of notes placed under his mattress. And then he decided he will not switch those currencies. Then the deadline passed, and CBK said, no, we are no longer taking the old currencies. So will you be like that person who kept it under the mattress until things went AWOL? Or would you invest with Jubilee Money Market Fund, which, by the way, is the fastest growing asset management company within the country, and hopefully eventually within the next year or so, also within Africa. So Jubilee MMF will give you financial freedom, will give you that resilience to be able to face the future head on, be able to say, hey, I know things are tough now, but my tomorrow is secured. So will you secure your future with us? The choice is yours. At the end of the day, every minute you waste, every second that passes, the value of the cash at hand you have, the value of the cash in your M-Pesa devalues. So wouldn't it be safer if you kept it with the Jubilee Money Market Fund? Will it be safe? Wouldn't it be safe if you kept it with us, Jubilee Asset Management? For sure. Thank you, Dennis. Fantastic. Fantastic. Then last but not least, the last question that stood out for us, and this will go out to our head of business development, Masimwelu. How can you assist individuals in achieving their financial goals? How can you assist individuals in achieving their financial goals?
Thank you, Alice. And at Jubilee Asset Management, we welcome everybody. And like I said, we want to walk the journey with you. From the moment you're leaving employment, from the moment you're having your first paycheck. Like I said, wealth accumulation starts the first time you put a saving aside. You're accumulating wealth. The 1,000 you put aside, that's a wealth accumulation. So at Jubilee Asset Management, what we do, we welcome everybody, from the person who is in business, from the person who is on their first job. You're somewhere in between, change of careers, you're not so sure. I'm near retirement. Am I making the right choices? I need to beat inflation. I need my retirement to beat inflation. Am I making the right financial choices in terms of where I'm putting my money? Do I still need to buy that, car? Do I need to upgrade? And you're later on in your life, you're towards your 60, and this is whereby you want to taper down in terms of the aggressive investments you want to make, and you want to consolidate your wealth. So what we do at every stage that you're in, we welcome you at Jubilee Asset Management. And one of the key things which stand out for us as fund managers is we have a face, and we want to walk the journey with you. And we welcome you. It either could be on email, could reach us on email, you could reach us on phone. We have branches in town at Exchange. We have branches in you are at Upper Hill head office. We have branches at Chancery building, and we're soon coming to Mount Kenya and going to Coast Region. So you're all welcome to see us. We are available on email as and when, and you are happy to walk the journey with you. From the first step that you're making that 1,000 or 5,000 into a money market, we want to grow with you, and we'll give you a dedicated financial advisor who will periodically sit down with you and evaluate where are we. We had a goal for, it's January, and our goal for December is I need maybe perhaps to do my course, my professional course, or maybe I need, to have a passive income in between what I'm saving. So we'll sit down with you, advise you, see is what you're putting aside making sense for you. We do have our money market fund, we do have our fixed income fund, and we do have our, money market US dollar, which are giving very good competitive rates. So we welcome each and everybody to give us a call, an email, and we can sit down with you and walk the financial journey with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mercy. Thank you, Mercy. Now, before we actually go into the Q&A, I know we are a bit pressed for time. Mercy, there was somebody who asked for a practical example. And I think it cannot get as practical as you detail in your journey to where you are at right now. You're currently the head of business development within the fastest growing asset management company within Kenya, that is Jubilee Asset Management. And they want to know, how did you move from the bottom to the top? I think Drake said, started from the bottom, now we're here. So I think people are very much interested in understanding how you got here. So maybe just give us an example of how you were able to achieve your financial freedom.
Okay, not really. I'm not really. I still want to be, according to the wealth report, and I've seen quite a number of people have asked me about the Knight Frank wealth report. It's a very respected wealth report. I'm sure one of the panelists will put up the link to their wealth and advise everybody to, it's a whole 76 pages. You can go through it. So how do you get there? I still want to be the ultra high net worth. I'm not there yet, or even the high net worth. But then again, start small. I said the first time you put the 5,000, you're on your journey towards wealth accumulation. And like I said, I like financial literacy a lot and financial inclusion. And I feel everybody should be taught about a money market, at least at a bare minimum. Everybody in Kenya should have a money market fund, because a money market, once you start, seeing the 5,000, um, in between, before paycheck comes in, you automate that saving to go to a Jubilee money market. We do that, by the way. And, for those people who are, in their first employment, and for the HR companies who are wondering, how do we empower our people to learn, to be more financially empowered? We are currently running financial planning clinics called Spend Wisely campaign, and this comes free of charge. We come to your organization, and we'll just have a 20 minutes with your organization and tell them this is how you need, spend wisely, do the simple budgeting. Of course, invest in Jubilee Money Market Fund, because it's going to give you a return, an average return. Right now it's at 13%. So start small, grow day by day, and as soon as to the end of the year, you're seeing your incomes, you're seeing your money that you put aside growing. Then you really want also to bring in your family. And I keep on saying, you can't grow if your family is not growing. So bring in your relatives, tell them about money market, tell your friends about money markets, be a mouthpiece, and be the part of the financial literacy that we are running across. Thank you.
Thank you, Mercy. Fantastic, fantastic. Can see some very, very good questions coming in. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Paris. Can see Salma Begison. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dorothy. Okay, so we've come to the end of that session of today's webinar, where they've been able to respond to the 7 top pertinent issues around savings. So now we will now be able to answer some of the questions that you've asked. I can see the link to Knight Frank has been placed. That is to access the Knight Frank Wealth Report. It's on the chat box. Everybody kindly access that report, review it. It will be important for you. So will you be able to share the presentation? Yes, we'll be able to share updates to the same. Today's was more of a discussion, but whatever updates we've discussed today, we can be able to come up with it. Just trying to see a couple of them. You can see some of them have already been answered. So the TAT, and this can go to you, Mercy. The TAT for withdrawals is 2 to 3 days. Kindly improve the TAT, especially for small amounts. Maybe you can speak to what's happening in the back end to improve in terms of these processes.
And this is a question from Fusion Hub, and we've noted it. I've actually been writing down what, the business of handling people's money, you need to be very authentic and you need to have integrity. So whatever you tell us, we note it down and you're going to improve on that. And for the smaller amounts where clients say, can it be sent to my M-Pesa? Yes, we've noted down, and we'll come the next webinar, or not even the next webinar, we'll come up with a solution for that.
Okay, thank you. Another very interesting question. Your interest rate currently is 13%. while other MMFs have a higher interest rate than us? Why should we choose Jubilee and not the others with a higher interest rate?
I can pick up on that.
Dennis, there
Yes,
you go.
I'm happy to respond on that. And when you look at our Jubilee money markets for last year, and for our clients, we've sent out the fact sheets for December, and it can clearly tells you that in the graph of all other, competition and all the fund managers in the industry, and that's our peers, we've really done a great job. So with the current interest rate at an average of 13, the team is working tirelessly to bring, to give you the competitive rate. And in this case, it's 2 plus 3 of basis points above the T-bill, and which I believe we are there. And again, beyond, us giving it's the relationship that we have. And I keep on saying we are here. Talk to us. What other value adds can we give you? Could we give you, financial training? Could you talk to us? You need to have this goal. We are ready for that. So apart from that, we are not hiding behind a banner. We are there to talk to you and to speak to you. And you're ready. You're welcome. Karibu. I'll be glad to have most of you and to encounter most of you who are our clients.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Matthew. This is just an assurance that we are working round the clock to ensure we are also able to compete with those who might be above us. I can confirm that this would be short-lived for them, and we would be back at the top. But then also something else that you look at is, I like to speak about 3 things that maybe Jubilee MMF has over the other funds. 1, stability and reliability. 2, transparency. I mean, we're here, we're sharing our insights, we're speaking about, or rather talking about these pertinent issues affecting us on a day-to-day basis. And lastly, holistic financial support. I can tell you the team within Jubilee Asset Management works day and night to be able to deliver to our clients. I know that might be a cliche way of saying this, but when you say I have experienced it. Every single day, the effort is being put through. And then also something else to mention, we're also looking at, we're also having a digital transformation agenda. Very soon, we will be launching a few initiatives this year to improve on our processes, to be able to bring our clients, the people closer to us. I know a couple of clients have asked for an app that is in the works. Right now, we've recently launched the client portal. We are also going to continuously upgrade it just to be able to satisfy your financial needs, but then also to ensure that we maintain the trust you have with us. So exciting things are coming up this year. Trust us. Exciting things are coming this year. Okay. Next question. I can see Caleb and the team have answered a couple. Let me see if there's any that have left. Yes, we will be able to share the presentation. When one needs some money, not much, some little money, can it be sent to M-Pesa instead of the bank account? When one needs some money, say they've saved with us, they have an account with us, can it be sent to M-Pesa instead of the bank, their bank account? Mercy?
Yes, that's it's a work in progress, and we'll come back to our clients with that solution that you can be sent to your M-Pesa instead of the bank account for smaller withdrawals.
Okay, thank you, Mercy. Maybe something else to also add to that. Yes, that will eventually be possible. Right now, we are limiting the risk of fraud. And there are a few regulations we must comply with when it comes to the CMA, that is the Capital Markets Authority. And it is all based at ensuring your money is safe and secure. Some M-Pesa accounts have been hacked. We've had that in the past. So before the solution is rolled up, we want to ensure if it is Paul who has withdrawn money from his account, it is Paul who is getting his money from that account. But as I said, we're having a major digital transformation agenda this year. So wait for very exciting things to come up. We have the client portal app. step one has been made now, to ensure we're able to also launch an app, and all these nice items to be able to meet your technology needs. All right. How is withholding tax submitted with sending withholding certificate to the contributor? I don't know whether it's with or when. I've not really understood that question. Okay, I can see actually Bernard has responded to it. Thank you, Bernard. Withholding tax is deemed as a final task as per the KRA tax regulations. Thank you, Bernard. So due to time, and I know we are really pressed for time, it's 8:08 going to 8:10. I know some of you have your families to go to. What will happen is we will put our contact details on the chat box. Reach out to us for any and all questions you might have. We will ensure that all questions are responded to by the end of this week or within 48 hours. We take your questions very seriously. We take them to heart, and this will help us to also better the experience that is for you. Okay, so in closing, I'd just like to mention a few things. Do you have a plan? Do you have a goal? Yes, you might have a goal. Yes, you might have a plan, but what are you going to do about it? Again, my reiteration today has been sticking to the plan, sticking to the goal. For you to unlock the financial freedom, we can offer advice. We can give you the platforms. We will give you the great interest rates. But at the end of the day, if you don't help yourself unlock your financial freedom, then it will all go to waste. So each of us needs to look inside themselves. For those who've not yet started saving, Jubilee Money Market Fund, Jubilee Asset Management is the best place to start. We not only have that product, we have several products. We have the fixed income fund, we have the USD MMF. So money market funds, we have both in USD and cash, and there are a few newer products coming up this year. And remember, you can't buy happiness, but saving wisely can certainly bring you peace of mind. Saving wisely will help you sort out those emergencies. Saving wisely will help you achieve your financial freedom. Success is a sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. So how about you have a success story when it comes to your financial freedom? Instead of talking about how you won this award, let your story be how I saved enough to achieve my goal, to achieve my target. So at the end of it all, we really do appreciate having each and every one of you. And just like that, I know we have taken a deep dive into the art of goal-based savings. A huge thank you to Mercy and Dennis for sharing their wisdom and actionable advice. And of course, thank you to every one of you who was able to tune in today. You have definitely taken a powerful step towards securing your financial freedom. Again, just to reiterate, your questions will be responded to within the next 48 hours. Keep the questions coming. There is an email address that has been put on the chat box. Kindly take up the email address. There are numbers that have been placed in the chat box. Kindly contact those numbers and we would be able to support you. Remember to SMS the word invest to 24245 or dial *706 *3#. SMS the word invest to 24245 or dial *706 *3# and begin your journey to financial freedom. Stay disciplined, stay focused, and don't forget, your goals are worth it. Thank you all. Really appreciate it. Have a fantastic evening and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I wish you a good evening.
Thank you so much and good evening.